Hello, and welcome to Season 1, Race 7 of my F1 2021. My team career mode is Rockstar Energy Racing. We're here at Spielberg, the Red Bull Ring, the Austrian Grand Prix. Qualified P14. Last two corners really cost me a couple of positions there, so that's unfortunate, but tire selection wise, it's not going to really matter because the race is starting in wet weather conditions. So it's going to be wet. I'll show you the forecast before we start, but yeah, that's what it's looking like right now. Standings wise, again, Hamilton leads by 3 points over Max Verstappen. Of course, we're coming off the incredible victory we had in at the Circuit Paul Ricard in France, our first ever victory, coming off the back of two podium finishes. I believe they were both third place finishes, if memory serves me correctly. And yeah, and that, of course, that race was a very tough one. We had to hold off Hamilton and Verstappen in the closing laps.
I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. It's been a great qualifying session for you. Are you going to carry that momentum into the race? How do you feel about this team's performance this season? Appreciate your time.
Get the interview questions out of the way. Lock up our bonus for the Zyneto sponsor. I'm in a bit of a time crunch at the moment because we are, as I record this, about an hour and 26 minutes away from the debut of AEW Rampage, 10 o'clock on Friday nights on TNT. Go check it out. So, just going to make sure I get this race done before 10 o'clock. It's now 8:34. So, going to try to keep it concise and focused and, yeah, just straightforward, I guess. So we got some more resource points, and surprisingly, or at least a surprise to me, Guan Yu Zhou earned a grand total of 5 resource points during the session. All 3 practice sessions. 5. So he did not do well. So, the wind tunnel, I believe that's probably the aero department. So, Guan Yu Zhou not really helping us in terms of the R&D. Now, I have enough points to purchase a major upgrade, but I want to sort of do it with the area that is in most need, or we need to catch up the most. Aero is an option. This is a major drag reduction. Won't come in until August 2nd, so won't even come in until Belgium. That's how far away that is. So that's an option. Monocone structure. Chassis. Well, that's what I think I might be more interested in because it does come in, or should be coming in if it all goes well, before the Hungarian Grand Prix. So actually, I think I might go with this one. So that'll be our first major upgrade that would be coming in on the car. So that is taken care of. We'll go over to the weather forecast. See, it starts in the rain, but midway through, dries out, and we should finish in the dry conditions. And of course, whenever the rain stops, this is really going to determine sort of what tires we end up going with. So, I think normally in a fully dry race, I normally do 16 laps on, if I'm starting on softs, you do 16 laps on softs and then 20 laps on the mediums. So, it could really go either way. But yeah, let's get ready for the Austrian Grand Prix, the Red Bull Ring, in the wet.
Welcome to the beautiful Styrian Mountains for another chapter in the story of the Austrian Grand Prix. It's a short lap here in Spielberg with just 10 corners, 7 rights and 3 lefts, making up the total distance of 2.6 miles. And expect to see a lot of cars running wide today, especially through the last corner, as the wet conditions make the cars skittish through the downhill sections. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Anthony Davidson. Thanks for joining us, Ant, and tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, the surface looks clean enough, but I'm a little bit worried about the track temperature. It's pretty cool out there, which could give some teams difficulties when it comes to keeping their tyres in the right operating window. The cars out there that work their tyres hard and really put a lot of energy through them, they'll be the ones that are better off.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Norris, Sergio Perez and Ricciardo, Gasly, Stroll, Tsunoda and Sebastian Vettel. Sainz, they've taken a grid penalty. Verstappen, the owner driver, and Fernando Alonso. Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, George Russell, and Esteban Ocon. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Joe, Latifi, Mick Schumacher, and Nikita Mazepin. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
So a bunch of people took grid penalties.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
Yeah, so a bunch of people took grid penalties. I know both Haas's did, because the last 2 qualifiers were my teammate Guan Yu Zhou and Nicholas Latifi, and they both moved up a row. So the Haas cars are definitely, they took a penalty. Carlos Sainz and Max Verstappen, they both took grid penalties, so they're further back down the field. I presume these are all engine related. Could be wrong, but yeah, strategy says, you know, wet weather tires the whole way, and of course we know the forecast is going to dry out. So yeah, so when it dries, when it gets to the point where the transition's gonna take place, that's when we're gonna make the call. So I think Alonso got a grid penalty as well, because he qualified in front of us. He is behind us, so...
Okay, how was the pull away? You'll have a bit more grip than that on the start, but we need to warm the tyres properly now. Make sure you get some heat into the brakes as well.
And Esteban Ocon had a penalty as well, I believe, so at least 6 drivers got grid penalties applied before the start of this race.
The drivers we're racing are Verstappen and Alonso. We're expecting the rain to hit us any time now. We anticipate an end to this rain in around 5 minutes. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
So the rain could end in 5 minutes. Now, the good news is that because we are starting on intermediates, and starting in wet weather conditions, there is no tire requirement. So, if I wanted to, if the rain ended early enough, I could pick a strategy where I go soft, and that would work. But again, it's all really going to depend on when the rain stops. And as always, the thing to really look out for is when the DRS becomes available, because that's usually the sign that it's time to come to pit. And if it does come early on in the race, that could lead to a very crowded pit lane. If that crossover point happens early enough. Alright, pulling up to the grid, just waiting for everyone, the 2 Haas's to line up so that we can
The start sequence
get going
will begin
here.
As soon as the grid has formed, be ready with the clutch.
Austria is one of our better tracks, but we're a bit behind the 8 ball here. We'll see what we can do. 5 red lights for the Austria Grand Prix in wet weather conditions. Lights out, and away we go. We're underway. Alonso's definitely going to beat us. The storming pack behind us. There goes Raikkonen, or Giovinazzi, I should say, and that did not go well. On the outside of Verstappen. Oh, we got a spinner. Somebody spun out back there and the track is completely blocked. Let's take a look and see what happened. Somebody got turned. Take a look at this. Is Esteban Ocon, I believe. Oh, okay. Oh, that's Alonso that got turned. Yep, Fernando Alonso is the one who got turned there and sort of blocked the pack for everyone else, or blocked the path for everyone else. Aside from the one Alfa Romeo of, I think, Giovinazzi. No, that was Raikkonen that got through. Okay, so Giovinazzi tried to make a 3-wide dive to the inside while Alonso was already turning in. Makes contact with Giovinazzi. And Alonso's already on the side of Verstappen, on the inside of Verstappen, and we're 4 wide at this point. And there's no way that was going to work. Alonso goes around. And it looks like, you know, you see Raikkonen get through, Giovinazzi gets through, the Williams of George Russell gets through. And it's going to be interesting to see where my teammate shakes out in all this, because he's going to be probably P18 or 17, somewhere around there. So, but, you know, everyone continues on, so that's good. And dive to the inside of a bunch of people going into turn 3. Sort of works with Gasly and Stroll, or Tsunoda and Stroll actually. Tsunoda going down to block, but we're gonna dive down to the bottom and get the move done. Now the test will be, what is our pace at Austria in wet weather conditions? Just want to check the running order towards the back, see who got sorted out here. Yeah, so our teammate is ahead of Esteban Ocon, both Haas's and George Russell. Actually, Nicholas Latifi, big beneficiary there. Got through there and gained some spots. This pack rolls into turn 1. Actually, I don't even know who the leader is. Is it Hamilton or Bottas? I presume it's Hamilton. Yep, but Leclerc is up to P2, so good on the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc to get up into second place. And of course Hamilton already pulling away. I have to imagine Leclerc might be a cork in the bottle here. That Ferrari, you know, give credit to Leclerc, is a great driver, but that Ferrari is probably not as fast as, you know, or I should say this, the Ferrari is definitely not faster than the Mercedes or the Red Bull or the McLaren. And actually, you know, this is only lap 3. But I've already noticed that what's happening in this race is actually very similar to what happened at the start of the French Grand Prix, where I've managed to hook onto the back of one of the lead packs, while the car behind me is really holding up the rest of the cars, well, behind me. Because I'm already because, you know, last race, Yuki Tsunoda was the one that was holding up everyone behind me, and in this race, it's Lance Stroll. Oddly enough. While, you know, in the meantime, I'm just hanging on to the back of this pack here. Of course, no DRS available with the rain, but yeah, very, very interesting and parallel situations, I guess. Yeah, Stroll is just backing up everyone behind him. I don't know if he got damaged or what the deal was. Or what the deal is with him.
You're pulling out a second lap on the car behind.
I have to think Tsunoda tries to pass him at some point.
Okay, I think the track will be drying out quite soon. Mind you don't burn out your tyres. We don't think it's going to stay dry for much longer. The rain could come at any moment. Watch out, the rain is passing. Expect it to ease up in the next few minutes. We should see a dry line start to form fairly rapidly, so make sure to cool your tyres down the straights. Inters seem like the fastest tyre for now.
Our mid-session save. There were more thunderstorms coming through the area. I'm not sure if they've totally passed me yet at this stage, or if we're expecting more. Certainly not as bad as last night, as far as I'm aware. So, no, I think we're in a much better situation than last night. I just checked, so.
I don't think the line is really dry enough yet to start thinking about slicks. Let's hold on to the inters for a while longer. Eighth place. You're in 8th place. Gasly is ahead of you. The gap is less than a second. They're on fresh inters. Stroll behind. The gap to the car behind is 4.5 seconds. They're on fresh inters. The gap to the leader is 7.5 seconds. 13 laps until your pit window is open. 32 laps to go.
So to recap the running order, top 10, Hamilton leads, followed by Leclerc, then Valtteri Bottas, then Lando Norris, Sergio Perez, Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, myself, and then Lance Stroll, Yuki Tsunoda, and Sebastian Vettel are your top 10. Of course, the big one in this race, the big person that's sort of fallen out here is Max Verstappen. Got those road penalties before the start of the race and has not been able to capitalize. Really, no, I think he might be actually stuck where we started, P12. Because Sainz was 11th in front of us, and Verstappen was 12th, just right alongside us. Meanwhile, the rain is definitely... Pretty sure the rain has definitely stopped at this point. As I run into the back of Pierre Gasly. So it's just going to be a matter of when the DRS opens and when it becomes time to switch on to tires. Switch on to dry tires, that is. Gasly is actually starting to fall back a little bit from Ricciardo.
It's not a perfect situation, but I don't think we have cause to move on to a different tyre yet.
And it's actually supposed to be sunny by the end of the race.
A new strategy is available on the MFD. Got that confirmed?
So they're saying to come into the pits now. It's like Yuki Tsunoda is going to be the first one to dive in and take advantage of the, I guess, the change in strategy. As will Kimi. Is this Kimi or is this Giovanni? It's Kimi. Okay. So that is happening. So is this the lap to make the move? I mean, if the leaders ahead of us come in, then I feel like we kind of have to, too.
Guan Yu in the pits.
Well, there you go. DRS has been enabled, which is the universal sign that it's time for dry tires. And we're in a bit of an interesting pickle here.
Okay, the stewards have now enabled DRS. DRS is now online.
We can go onto a set of medium tires and try to drag it to the end of the race, though I feel that would be a stretch.
Pitting this lap then. Come into the pits at the end of this lap.
And we're on lap 8 right now. Alternatively, we got 24 laps to go. I also could throw on a set of hards and just go to the end, but I don't know about doing that necessarily. Actually, we're on lap 8. 36 minus 8 would be 28 laps to go. Yeah, so it's 36 laps. We're on lap 8, so that's actually 28 laps, so 14. Honestly, it might be worth going on to doing 2 stints on soft tires. And the reason I say that is because, again, normally when we do this race, it's a one-stop strategy. About 16 laps or so on softs, and then 20 on mediums. So I think the move might be to go soft and do 2 sets of soft tires to go to the end of this race.
Right, come in at the end of this lap. Roger that. Soft tyres at the next pit stop.
And just to double check the race director, Hamilton going for medium. Everyone behind me is going for mediums. So I guess I'm the only one who's trying the soft tire strategy. And Hamilton's going to get held up in the pits big time. Leclerc goes through, Perez goes through.
Complete. Go
We are
now.
actually going to come out ahead of the Mercedes of Valtteri
To
Bottas.
speed now. Let's get some heat into those tires.
So let's see what we can do here. We know we're going to have to stop again. Again, of course, starting in wet weather conditions means the tire requirements do not matter. You can go with whatever you want to go with after it switches to dry. So there's no need for us to fulfill any requirements from here on out. So let's see, maybe this soft tire strategy will work for us, and then again, maybe it won't. We'll just have to wait and find out. Now, Ricardo decided to do an extra lap, I guess, to prevent a double stack situation that would slow him down. Though I think that's ultimately going to cost him here some positions. There's Ricardo coming out of the pits
Gap to
now.
teammate behind is 20.5 seconds.
Sonoda sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Closed up to Pierre Gasly. And just to check the race director, I'm the only person who's gone on for the soft tires. So the running order right now is Hamilton, Leclerc, Perez, Norris, Gasly, then myself, Bottas, Ricardo, and the 9th and 10th are Sonoda and Raikkonen, so them deciding to pit early, or the lap before everyone else, that has worked out for them. And Sebastian Vettel is all the way down in 22nd. I wonder what happened to him. Did he just have a bad pit stop? I guess he must have just had a really, really bad pit stop because he's all the way in last place with George Russell. Working around Pierre Gasly. Of course, these early laps are where we are going to have the advantage on the soft tire. And actually a good opportunity for us to potentially set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. So that just gets set by Lewis Hamilton.
Okay, you're catching the car ahead.
I felt like that was going to be us, but that was actually Valtteri Bottas who sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Surely with the assistance of DRS, as we're looking for potential overtake of Pierre Gasly into turn 3. He goes low. We were going to go low, but we're going to go high instead. And we are going to get the spot.
Nice work, that brings you up a place.
Meanwhile, it's a scrap for P2 for P4 in front of us with Norris, Leclerc, and Perez. The running order was Leclerc, Perez, Norris, but now Perez has gotten ahead of Leclerc. Uh-oh, Leclerc, he's off.
Green flag.
What happened to Leclerc? He just dropped off the racetrack. Oh, he made a mistake. He just ran wide. Leclerc just made a big error and drove wide. Let's take a look at it from the sky cam. Yeah, he just drove it way too fast and hard into that corner and just missed it. He completely missed the corner. Of course, we know that the AI is capable of making errors, and that was a big error right there. Let's go on board with Leclerc. Following the Honda, the Red Bull of Sergio Perez on the apex, and yeah, he just drove wide. He just drove out wide, couldn't keep it straight, or couldn't turn it tight enough, I guess, or misjudged the exit. Excuse me, or misjudged the exit speed. And he just drove off the track. Yeah, he just turned and turned and it wouldn't turn. I don't know if it was the dirty air or something else, but it just caused him to go straight. And of course, we will gladly take that spot, and that's probably going to drop Leclerc down to, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, probably 7th or 8th. I think it's going to be okay coming out ahead of Yuki Tsunoda. But yeah, Leclerc was running second at one point. Not anymore. Now it's Sergio Perez and Lando Norris in front of us who are in the podium positions. We're trying to run them down. Trying to get inside Lando's... Ooh, bad corner there. Trying to get inside Lando's DRS range. We're going really wide on that exit. I'm not sure why. I'm gonna get plenty of room. There we go. That's how you properly take that corner. About 1.4 seconds behind Norris. Doesn't help that Norris has DRS on Perez. So Perez is going to be able to tow him along here. Here comes Gasly, DRS, shoving him way down to the pit wall. It's gonna be tight apex going into turn 1 for him. And it slows him up. And that might give Bottas an opportunity to make a move, though it's Daniel Ricciardo making a move. Bottas then makes the move to the, and it could be 3 wide. But Bottas looks like he gets ahead of Gasly, while Ricciardo battles with him. So for Pierre Gasly, he went from potentially passing you for P4, dropping all the way down potentially to P7. So that maneuver attempt into turn 1 did not work out well for Pierre Gasly. But now this means we're going to have Bottas breathing down our neck. As Lando Norris looking to take second from Perez, doesn't get it that time. But he is absolutely there in striking distance of the Red Bull. I believe this would be Perez's first podium of the season if he can hold on to it. Lewis Hamilton sets yet another fastest lap.
We're leading our teammate by
personal best.
6.0 seconds.
Not fastest lap, as Bottas is on us now. Oh, jeez. Bottas. We're going to do the switchback. Shove him wide. And that's going to allow Ricciardo to make a move. Here comes Rick Bobby, as he's called. Danny Rick, 3 wide.
Okay, clear.
Uh-oh. Somebody's got a problem. Behind us. Oh no! Max Verstappen is out of the Grand Prix. One of the championship contenders, or I guess the championship contender. At the Red Bull Ring, up in smoke. Makes a little contact with one of the Alpines and pulls it up. And meanwhile, he's out. But Ricciardo looking to make a move. Oh, that is a mess and a half right there. A mess and a half. Yes, this is where the soft tires are not working out for us. Now those guys on the mediums are their tires are starting to come to life. Carter looking for a move. We can go to the bottom. That's usually the best move for me, I feel, defensively, is that if they get a run going up into turn 1, I make them go to the bottom because, you know, that corner is so tight that it'll force them to slow down, or they'll be really slow coming out of the corner, and that will enable us to get away a little bit. But now we're under pressure from Ricciardo again. We're going to make him go to the outside. Holding him off for now. Nice and easy. I'm trying to think of when our next pit stop is going to be. Probably lap 22, if I had to guess.
The gap to the car
And we're going to do an
is
even split
3.9
run
seconds.
on soft tires. That's what I mean right there. Just not as extreme, but I pinched him to the bottom, and that's going to allow Bottas to go side by side with Ricciardo. This is a 4-car scrap for P4. And this is a great fight, to be honest with you. We're in a defensive position, so we have the upper hand in that regard. Get a little bit of breathing room here, though I don't think that's going to last for long. Again, I'm going to make Bottas go to the inside. It's not going to work for him, I know that for sure. We're going to slow him up a little bit. Though not as effective because Ricciardo was not close enough to, take advantage of Bottas slowing up. And I don't know if the medium tire runners are going to stop again. I think it's feasible to go 24 laps on the medium tire, but that seems like a real stretch. So that's why I'm thinking they're probably going to pit again, presumably for another set of mediums. Here we go again. Make Bottas go to the inside again. He's going to pass us, but we're going to get the lane. And there you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's the move I like here in Austria. Going into turn 1 as a defensive maneuver. forces him to slow up, and now Bottas is under attack from both Ricciardo and Pierre Gasly. As meanwhile, Lando Norris has gotten by Sergio Perez for P2.
No tyre concerns at the moment, just focus on the driving.
Tire wear, solid shape. And I think lap 22 is the play on the pit stop. Though I don't know when everyone else is going to pit. If anyone pits earlier, that might force our hand a little bit. I don't think anyone's going to pit too early, because we've only done 10 laps since the changeover and the pit stops. And I don't think anyone's going to pit 10 laps into a stint on mediums. If I had to guess, they're going to try to even it out.
Our gap to the car in front is 5.8 seconds.
So just a quick recap of the running order here. It is Hamilton in first, Norris second, Sergio Perez in third, we are fourth, Ricciardo is fifth, Gasly sixth, Bottas seventh, then Tsunoda, Leclerc has backed up to P9 after that off-track excursion, and then Fernando Alonso is P10 in the Alpine. Then behind him are Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari, Kimi Raikkonen, Lance Stroll, Esteban Ocon, Sebastian Vettel, Guan Yu Zhou is doing pretty solid job in P16 in front of both Williams, both Haas cars, and an Alfa Romeo. So, solid job by Guan Yu thus far in the race. Meanwhile, we've pulled away slightly from Gasly and Bottas. Now my lone challenger is Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren. Carter going to go to the outside.
Right, some information on Hamilton. They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Did I just hear that right?
Pit window open. Let's box this lap.
Lewis Hamilton potentially has a problem on his car.
We're in P4. Red Bull driver ahead. Perez ahead. Okay, gap ahead is 6.3 seconds. They're on old mediums. Ricciardo is behind you. They're on old mediums. Our gap to first place is 15.1 seconds. Your pit window is open. Pit window is open. 17 laps to go.
Now, Hamilton is... he is about 9 seconds ahead of second place Lando Norris. So, unfortunately, I would have to guess this is just a minor issue and Hamilton will get back up to speed. But, yeah, that was a very interesting radio message regarding the race leader and the apparent condition of his race car.
Okay, you're dropping a few tenths per lap to the car ahead. They're edging away.
Ooh, cut off Ricciardo there. Again, as I've said before, that is the move that I like to employ. Give them the inside, then cut them off into the first turn as they go 3 wide behind me. Let's see a replay of that. Bottas, Ricciardo, and Gasly. What a ding-dong of a battle this is. Gasly the outside, Bottas dives up the inside, and they go 3 wide. I gotta tell you, that is picture-worthy, so... there we go. Well, that was an awesome moment for sure, but of course, I'm going 3 wide, and at turn 3 only helps us build a bit of a gap to them, so I'm sure they'll close back up within the next lap or two. That's just how it works here in Austria. Though we are planning to pit on the next lap for a fresh set of soft tires. Again, I do not know the pit strategies of everyone else. If they're going to all try to stick it out on mediums for the rest of the race, or if they're going to pit again. Session save.
Caution, caution.
Uh-oh.
Someone's come off ahead of you. There's a yellow flag ahead.
What happened there?
Who is coming in for his stop?
Something with Perez. Oh, he made a... Oh no! Oh my gosh! Can you believe this? Can you believe this? The Red Bull Ring, the home Grand Prix of Red Bull, of the Red Bull team, and both cars, both Verstappen and Sergio Perez, out of the Grand Prix due to engine failure. That is unbelievable. A double DNF for Red Bull.
Green flag.
Can you believe it?
The pit box is currently full. Stay out on track. Stay out on track. Roger that. Soft tyres at the next pit stop. Okay, we can take you this lap.
Coming in for our pit stop now. I think the timing worked out just perfectly with Guan Yu coming out. There we go. Out of the pits we go. Back on track.
No more scheduled pit stops.
Ahead of Gasly, of course. I'm trying to see. Did anyone in front? Norris pitted. I know that. Hamilton. He stopped. Okay, Hamilton stopped. And Norris stopped. And we stopped. So basically, Ricciardo, Bottas, Leclerc, Alonso, and Stroll are the cars in front of us who have yet to pit. So we're waiting on those guys. So right now, that retirement from Sergio Perez means that we are currently in a net P3 of the Austrian Grand Prix. We'll see where we come out in relation to Ricciardo and Bottas. We've certainly pulled a gap to Pierre Gasly. Stroll dives into the pits, as does Alonso. There's Leclerc, and there is Ricciardo and Bottas. We're kind of well ahead of them, and Gasly is going to beat both of them out of the pits.
34.4 seconds.
So the undercut works for us, and it worked for Pierre Gasly to get in front of Ricciardo and Bottas. Actually, excuse me for 1 second. I have to take care of something really quickly. So, apologies for that. Just had to take care of a quick thing. Just had to take something out of the fridge, actually, for my brother. But, nevertheless, we carry on. We are P3 of the Austrian Grand Prix.
The gap behind us is 2.5 seconds.
Lando Norris sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But we just set it right back. And actually, I didn't even realize this until just now, but Lando Norris is not that far off of Lewis Hamilton. My estimations are correct. He's about just a little over a second, maybe 1.3 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton. So Norris is in contention, especially if he can get within DRS range. He could challenge Hamilton for this win, which would be absolutely stunning if Norris can pull it off. And again, we know that Hamilton has those issues, and Norris sets another fastest lap. We don't know if those issues for Hamilton have been resolved.
Gap to car in front is 9.7 seconds.
But clearly, Lando is there. And actually, let's look at the, yeah, Norris is more than there. He is in DRS range, and he is challenging Lewis Hamilton for the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. Could we be looking at Lando Norris getting his second win of this season? That would be crazy if he could pull that. And I think he just did the overtake. I think Norris just got the pass done on Lewis. Let's take a look. Go back to the replay. He was right behind him. Going down the second, or I guess the third DRS straight. He's going to make the pass inside. And yeah, he gets it done. Lando Norris is in the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. Just ran down Lewis Hamilton and passed him. Unbelievable scenes. unbelievable scenes. I mean, we knew the McLaren is a good car, and of course Lando in real life is having a very good season. A very strong season, actually. His best season ever. As he sets another
Norris
fastest
has just
lap.
put up the fastest lap of the race so far.
Third in a row for Lando. And but this is even better than his real life season. He's on the verge of potentially 2 wins. And man, he is really excuse me. He is driving the race of his life right now. Of course, he outdueled the other Mercedes, Valtteri Bottas, to win in Baku on the street circuit. And now he's fighting the other Mercedes for a potential win in Lewis Hamilton. But Hamilton, it seems like he's potentially picked up the pace again. I wonder if they finally got fixed whatever the issue was on his car. So it looked like he was falling off, and now he's caught back up. Seemingly.
The gap to the car ahead is 10.8 seconds.
And Hamilton's starting to pull away from me now, so I think it's safe to say that Hamilton
is ahead of you. Our gap to the car in front is 10.8 seconds. They're on old mediums. Their tyres are 4 laps old. The time last lap was a 1:06.5. You're falling back by around 1.2 seconds a lap.
I'm guessing they must have fixed whatever the problem was on Hamilton's car, because he is right up on Norris's gearbox right now. Meanwhile, Ricciardo and Bottas have collectively dropped Pierre Gasly from their battle, so Gasly is settled back into 6th place, while Ricciardo and Bottas are starting to run me down for P3.
You're losing a small amount of time to the car behind. Keep pushing.
Oh, did Hamilton get Norris back for the lead? I think he did. Let's take a look. Great duel between 2 British drivers. Hamilton looked to the right, then looked back to the left. And took the lead before they even got to turn 3. Of course, it's all ironic because in real life, in the Austrian Grand Prix this year, you had that infamous radio message where Hamilton, who was following Norris very early on in the Grand Prix, or in the first third of the race, complimented Lando on what a great driver he was. Now he's battling him for a race win. Meanwhile, we got our hands full.
Okay, some information on Bottas. They have an issue with their car. They're going to be slow.
And now Bottas has an issue with his car as Ricciardo gets by us for P3. So Ricciardo has knocked us off the podium. And he's speeding off into the distance in front of us. Well, Bottas' issues, so it's really interesting. Both Red Bulls had issues that caused them to retire from the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, both Mercedes have evidently suffered mechanical issues of their own, though not serious enough to knock them out of the race. So both of the top 2 teams have had problems today, which is very, very, just adds to the excitement of this race. That's for sure. And now Bottas has to worry about potentially falling into the clutches of Pierre Gasly. And don't forget, this is going to be a good day in the championship for Hamilton. You know, Verstappen's not going to score any points. And the next closest rival to him would be Bottas, and he's absolutely going to gain points on Bottas at this rate. So Hamilton's going to really take control of this championship coming out of this Grand Prix. Regardless of whether he finishes first or second. Bottas was like 20 some odd points out of first place. I'm curious to see, is Lando, how close is Lando to Lewis right now? Okay, so Lando is definitely there. He's close enough to be in DRS range. So he's just staying in touch with Hamilton for now. But he's not close enough to make a move. Yeah, Norris he's totally there.
Be careful, we think you're going to start losing some tyre grip around now.
Now, the thing for Bottas is that
leading our teammate by 44.8 seconds.
the thing with Bottas now, Pierre Gasly is within his DRS range. So Bottas is going to be under attack right now from the AlphaTauri. And oh boy! The leaders have run into lap traffic in a major way. Let's see, who even is that in front of them? So that's George Russell, Nicholas Latifi, Nikita Mazepin, and Mick Schumacher. Our teammate is actually up well ahead of them, so Guan Yu Zhou having a best run of his career so far. But they might have a struggle in front of them to get, you know, at least the leaders are, because they got all that lap traffic ahead of them, and there's only 4 laps to go, or 5 laps to go, I should say. And they're going to let them by, but it's definitely going to cause problems. Let's double check and see how they're progressing here. This is on view of Norris. Russell's going to get out of the way first. He dives to the bottom, no problem there. So Russell did not cause any issue for either of his Mercedes power unit teammates. Of course, you know, Williams obviously a surrogate of Mercedes at this point, while
Okay, gap ahead
McLarens are now
2
powered by
seconds.
Mercedes engines once again. Let's see how they navigate through the rest of the lap traffic. Norris and Hamilton both get by them pretty easily. And the only one in front of them is one of the Haas cars. So that Haas is going to dive out of the way. Might be a problem for Norris. Let's see how Norris navigates, because that was going to be pretty close going into turn 1. Okay, that was Mick Schumacher, I believe. And he pretty well dived out of the way before turn 1 and allowed Norris to get by. So a commendable job by the lappers, both Williams, both Haas's. They all got out of the way in a very orderly fashion. They did not disturb the fight for the lead. Norris still within DRS range of Hamilton. So that fight continues. Now, that I believe in front of them, they do have Antonio Giovinazzi.
The car behind is dropping back by about 0.3 a lap.
And my teammate, Guan Yu Zhou, they're a little further ways up the road. I don't know if they'll catch them before the end of the race. They might. And again, they might not. Let's double check and see where they are in relation to everything here. So there's Hamilton. Norris is right there. So they're a little further away up the road. Not a ton. I think it's feasible that they could catch Guan Yu Zhou and Antonio Giovinazzi before the end of this race. Not a guarantee, but it would not shock me if they catch them on the last lap or maybe the second to last lap. Yeah, Norris still in DRS range, but just can't seem to get by Lewis at this point. Maybe, I guess he just must not be close enough to make a move. Or maybe he burned up his tires in that early part of the stint, and now he's got nothing left to really challenge Lewis with. Let's see if we can see what his progress or how close he is or isn't. Yeah, he's got DRS, but again, he's just not close enough right now. You know, up here, Gasly has gotten by Valtteri Bottas to make the move into 5th place, so it's going to be a banner day for AlphaTauri. Both cars in the points as things stand right now. Yeah, Hamilton is just getting much better traction than Norris on the corners, so I really wonder if Norris really burnt up his tires trying to...
in front is 3.6 seconds.
If he really burned up his tires trying to make those early gains on Hamilton to go for the lead. I wonder if he, again, maybe he just used up his tires at, too early in the run, and Hamilton saved his tires a little bit just to give him enough to power through to the end of the race and have more tire life. That's entirely possible. Let's see where Norris is going down the front straight and how close he is. Yeah, it looks like they are going to catch Guan Yu and Giovinazzi before the end here. But I have no idea when they're going to dive out of the way. Let's check the front again. Yeah, Norris, he is there. The problem is that he's just not getting the traction out of that turn 3 to make a realistic move. Going back to Lando again. Guan Yu is going to dive out of the way, so good on him. Doing his best to stay out of the leader's battle for the win.
The gap to the car ahead is 5.9 seconds.
See where Norris is now. Again, DRS he's just not close enough. He's just not close enough to make a move, I think. As we approach the white flag for the final lap, they've taken it already, of course.
This is
We'll see. Can Norris do anything with Lewis? No, he's just not close enough to do anything. But meanwhile, we have our own situation to worry about. As Leclerc gets by Valtteri Bottas, we got Pierre Gasly with a full head of steam coming right behind us, trying to fend off P4. Go a little wide. Uh-oh. Gasly. Oh, he's going to get through. Yep, that did not work. Tires finally falling off. Pierre Gasly into P4 as we run into the back of him. Just trying to not damage the car. Trying to bring it home in one piece. And Tsunoda has gotten by Valtteri Bottas for P5, P6, so again, a banner day for AlphaTauri. As Lewis Hamilton holds off Lando Norris to get his third win of the season and extend his championship lead. The McLarens are going to be second and third on the podium. Pierre Gasly will be P4, and we're going to bring it home in P5 after starting P13.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
And Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. And talk to me. What do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So a double podium for McLaren, a good day for them, with Red Bull faltering.
So let's review the updated driver standings. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
I'm going to give it to the owner-driver today. They did a great job at getting the most out of their tyres without losing pace, something that's a very handy skill to have in modern-day Formula One.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, AlphaTauri's strong weekend allows them to continue their march up the table. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
So that was the Austrian Grand Prix. As I already mentioned, calamity for Red Bull, double DNF due to engine failures on both cars. Our teammate Guan Yu Zhou, again, there were retirements in the race, but to finish P16, I think is pretty good. I think that might be his best result so far. Beat both Haas's, beat both Williams. I'd say that's a good day for Guan Yu. Could have gotten 15th if Giovinazzi hadn't overtaken him right before they got lapped. Carlos Sainz, the last car to score points, double points for Ferrari. Alonso gets a point for Alpine. Bottas slips to 8th. And again, a good day for AlphaTauri. Constructor standings first. Now, AlphaTauri, actually, their day was so good, they jumped Ferrari for P5. So, a very beneficial race for AlphaTauri, gets them up to P5 in the constructor standings. We remain P4. While McLaren closes the gap to Red Bull, Mercedes extends the gap from Red Bull. And on the driver's side, Hamilton now a full race ahead of Max Verstappen. And almost 2 race wins ahead of both Valtteri Bottas and Lando Norris. Yeah, there you go. So, interesting happenings here at the Red Bull Ring, that is for sure. So we continue to trounce Kimi Räikkönen in the rivalry. We'll probably win the rivalry in the next race in Silverstone, if everything goes well. Cash from both sponsors, that's good. Not a ton of money from base payouts, unfortunately. Should have some time before the British Grand Prix, hopefully, to get some more cash in and maybe make some investments. We'll have to wait and see. Running right up against the clock here for my time limit, so I'll try to make this as quick as I possibly can. Finishing this up. Alright. So we have our sponsor renewal for Zinetto. We will do that. Go put that back on the car. Got one there. There. Got one there. And got one more. Of course, we have the zigzag on 2 different spots. So yeah, that's all good. Took care of everything right there, so it's good. Renew the sponsor. That's what we like to see. Okay, activities. Let's check the department morale. Everyone's aero and chassis are high. Not so much for powertrain and durability. R&D, we should have a minor part coming in before the British Grand Prix. Let's see, what can we do here? We'll do some reaction training for Guan Yu Zhou. We'll do a power equipment upgrade, which will give us some additional resource points and boost the department morale there. I guess we'll do attend the esports event, which will fill everything out and give us 100 extra driver acclaim. So I think that's it's all good. Now you have a personnel department event. So let's see
We
what
have
this
a
is.
problem regarding our driver. How do you want to handle this?
Okay. MXF Magazine wants to do a piece on Joe, focusing on an F1 driver's training regimen, their daily fitness routine, that kind of thing. A bit of publicity would be good for them, but obviously time spent doing that is time away from their personal development. So our second driver, will get 1,000 driver acclaim, but -7 experience. That's a big experience hit, so I think I'm going to decline that.
Thanks. I know these kinds of decisions can be challenging, but I think you made the right call.
And the experience hit was huge, so didn't want to chance that. Oh, and we got a department issue.
We
Or
had
a
a
part
major
failure.
issue on the production line earlier this week, so the entire development package for this weekend has failed. Any redevelopments will need to be ordered from the R&D screen.
Well, the good news is that that development will come in for Hungary. Well, that sucks. I do have some money to spend, though. I think I'm going to spend on personnel. I can do the fitness center, which will upgrade the second driver's racecraft, awareness, and focus. A decent investment. So there you go. That was the Austrian Grand Prix. We'll see you next time for the British Grand Prix in Silverstone.